Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Alan's Viewpoints. Got a little bit of a different topic before I get into some other things. Wanted to talk about uh, some of the things I do in my spare time, and so you get to know me a little bit. I do like to tell some jokes, so I keep my hair short. You can see that, but that's mostly to keep the gray out. Um, I found about 10, 15 years ago, my hair was starting to turn a little white on the ends, and so I went from an inch haircut to three-quarters of an inch. Started to show again. I went to a half an inch. Uh, I'm down to a quarter of an inch now, but that's as short as I'm going to go. I'd make a horrible bald man. Um, I don't know. I don't know about most white guys. I'm self conscious about wanting to go down the street as a bald man and having the sun reflecting off my eyes and then having some driver driving down the road can't see because the light off my skull is blinding him as he's driving and then he gets into an accident. That'd be horrible. Um, I just don't see the point in blinding everybody. Um, hey, that's the price I pay for being a white man in this world. Um, Sad to say, but the honest truth is God's honest truth is the black man has the best bald head. Um, I, if I was going to be bald, sorry, I got to be black. It's the only way. And it is. They are, and every guy I've met, awesome, awesome. They're awesome people. Everybody in the world's awesome. And it doesn't matter what race you are. Um, but hey, my wife is originally from the Philippines, as you'll find out through time, and I've been married to her for 16 and a half years. I have done this as an interview under the guise of coin toss discussions, which is something else I've been wanting to get going and tried to get going, but unfortunately, finding a co-host is a bit tough. And my original co-host found full-time employment about 200 miles away, so he's not actually eligible and available. So, um, but hey, a few years ago, and this started with the beginning of COVID. And my wife was trying to figure out what to do during COVID so she could do some different things and get control of what's going on in life and not knowing what to do, being at home and talking to her friends in the Philippines and that. And she came up with the idea of deciding that she wanted to um, start a charity. And that charity, if I can zoom in on this, is the Hawud International Charity Foundations. We are a 501c3, so any donations are tax deductible. And she started this for out of a conversation with a friend of hers, and a friend asked her, "Is there anything you can do?" And she didn't know what to do, and she goes, "Well, what needs to be done?" She goes, "Well, there's lots of kids in the Philippines who are hungry. They're not being fed, or at least fed well." And uh, she goes, "Is there something that can be done?" And she goes, "Well, I know this young man, and I'll slide this picture over. Let's see if we can't get this. Come on." Come on. Shrink this. Oh, I got my background all messed up. Gotta be nice. There we go. Pull that back over. So I need to be on the white side of this. Okay, there we go. So we'll expand this. So this young gentleman was introduced to my wife, and you can see that he was basically skin and bones at the time. A horrible situation. Um, let's see. I don't know if I have another photo of him or not. I do not have one here. There he is. So we'll zoom in on him. And this is what he was like. Having to be on IVs, couldn't be in the hospital. And my wife goes, that's it. We got to do something. And so she started Hawud. So Hawud was born out of the necessity of feeding this young gentleman and other kids in the same situation. Let's see. So we have another photo, and this was a few years later when we finally managed to get to the Philippines. We were actually allowed to go back into the Philippines in 2022. Yes, 2022. And you can see he's much fuller. He's singing. He's happy. We had a big dinner for him. Just celebrated the fact that he had been fed. In course of time, our foundation has fed, I do believe it's between 35 and 40,000 children on next to no donations. I have tried raising donations, and I found that the United States tends to be very poor at giving. But why would you do anything when you know that most 501cs have exorbitant salaries in that? And one of the things I did was when we set up this whole charity is that if our expenses, in other words, salaries, and I don't mean expenses for food and getting people places to do things, but when our expenses exceed 5% of the money we bring in, I'll shut the charity down. 95% or more of all money raised by our charity needs to go to the children. That's getting them food, medicine, shoes, toothbrushes, school stuff for school supplies, you name it. That stuff needs to be done. And that's what this is about. And that's what charities are supposed to be. Now, I'm not looking to get federal government money, because that would be forced charity. And sorry, any non-government organization that gets money from the federal government is forced charity by whoever's paying taxes and not getting all their taxes money back. That's forced charity. And I'm not for forced charity. You can see that the kids have fun. My wife absolutely adores working with the kids. She's a school teacher, and this is her passion. So she's over in the Philippines right now working on getting things set up and making sure that our charity is in the Philippines, operating the way it's supposed to. I know what it is. It's this background. I don't like the background, but you can see here, this is who we feed. We feed these kids. These are poor villagers, and trust me, when you think of the poor here, somebody poor in the United States, they get food stamps. They're getting Medicare, Medicaid. They're getting housing taken care of for them, Section 8 housing. They many times have a car, cell phone. These people don't have that. This is how people live in the world. We have it, and we're very privileged to be where we're at. And I don't care who you are. When you sit down and you're there and working with these people, and you realize how little they have, and yet they're happy. We have people here that are griping about what they have to do and that they might have to work. These people don't once complain that they have to work if they get a job. Not once. They like the fact that they get a chance at a job. And that's what it is. Everybody who works with us, and you can see a few in here, they'll have the blue shirt primarily with a red stripe and white in the shoulder. Those people are all volunteers. We have no paid employees. Everybody volunteers their time. I volunteer my time to do paperwork and think about how we might do certain things, do some technical stuff. My wife works on working with people and implementing everything. And this isn't the only thing. Come on. Where is it? There we go. Looks like I got my background turned again. Come on. There we go. So let's see if I can't find it. There was I do have a series of pictures. No, okay, so here we go. Illustrations, videos, live. Days. Okay, so here's from our trip in. Let's see if I can't get these things enlarged a little bit. Show selected. Here we go. Come on. Here we go. Okay, so here's that young gentleman when he first started. But this is the first feeding that I ever attended. You can see my fat butt in the background with the cowboy hat. Everybody knows me in the Philippines with the cowboy hat. My best friend standing there. He's usually my driver when I'm there. He is in the PNP. The other individuals you see here are in the Bureau of Jail Management. And all of these people come out to help us take care of and feed these kids. My wife and I had a discussion, and you can see I'm standing there in a Hawud shirt. And this is one of the captains of the Philippine National Police, the PNP. We partner with them to help feed these kids. You can see the police, other people of the PNP are there. And these people, this is, again, the young gentleman that we helped. It's the gentleman that started the whole thing. This is the crew that helped feed all the kids. Again, this is a ceremony where we had a mutual agreement signed with the PNP, and they had a ceremony in front of the cadets that were being sworn in that day. Pretty awesome thing to have happen. I was sanitizing the kids. You'll notice that if you look really close in my hand, Perel. So I work for Gojo Industries. Also makes Perel. You can see all the soldiers in the background. kids having a meal at one place. Hawud. This is our. My wife will get the kids to have fun, dance and that before they come up and pick up their shoes, the slippers. So that's really what's happening at this point in time. Um, Seems to be that's the end of that series of photos. Um, Select up to 20. Get rid of some of these things. Gee whiz. Wonder what that is. Okay, done. Now we get some more selected. So and here's add those. Well, I guess I shouldn't have added those. Back, 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 back. Okay. Back to our photos. Alrighty. So, what I find absolutely awesome is as we're stepping through these things, is that the police officers are the one helping to feed these kids. So, what's the impression that you're going to get as I was telling the PNP commander, is that think about the impression that the kids get, because usually the only times they ever see the police is when something bad happens. Now they're being fed by the police. They're being given gifts by the police to take care of their daily needs. And so they get a different impression of who the police are. And that's the most awesome part. See if I can get a few more photos in there. We work with the Department of Education. I think here's another big feeding program, feeding and outreach. Again, we celebrate different things, and all the money and all the gifts and everything are donated by. Obviously this was back in 22 because people were still wearing masks. Sort of mask on if you were in a building. If you're a certain individual, you needed to wear a mask. As we all found out that really wasn't the case. Again, here's that young gentleman we worked on feeding. I had a whole lot of photos scattered in here, and I thought, ew, there they are. So if I start from this point, can I get to this? So you can see the police that day, and every time that we do this, this is what they do. And this is why we partner with them. We have a partner. This is typically done at a school, so that it's all done with conjunction with a school. The Department of Education is one of our partners. And this is another big one at a school. This was about 70 miles from the city that we stay in when we're there in the Philippines. You pass through some pretty rough areas. The other side of the main highway that you went in on, we went in on, and I found out this while I was talking to the officers at this particular event, is that if I wanted to go to a school on the other side of the highway, it would require 2 weeks' notice. They would have to go in. They would scout out the area. They would monitor it and make sure that there's no rebel activity, we'll call it, and that we would be safe. We would have a bigger armed presence go in with us when we went in. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. I don't need to go and see that. moved on. You can see the officers there. Again, some of the things that we're giving out, all the things that we're taking care of. And again, all of this stuff is all donated. Everything is donated. The funds that we have been donated. So it's 100%. At no point in time do we ever ask people to give us money so we can pay salaries. If we ever ask you to pay a salary or we start using it, first of all, I'm going to tell people. But if I ever get to that point where, I can understand if we're drawing in $1 million worth of revenue a year, 5% of that being what, 50,000. I'll pay 50,000 out to some people to help take care of the books and do everything. But if anybody's salary ever gets to be 7 figures or even 6 figures, I'll pull the plug on this charity. This is not what it's there for. You can see a lot of the teachers at this particular facility, some of the officers, and the gentleman to the far left in the green. He is a pastor. So we also are working in conjunction with the churches and ensuring that all this is done. We got these community outreaches. See which one is this. This was up in the mountains. My driver and best friend is standing there next to the lady with the Hawud shirt. Awesome individual. Miss talking to him in person. But you can see all of this is going on. There he is again. And this is what we're doing. We're handing these slippers out because most of these kids, they're going barefoot. They walk to these places barefoot. Again, there's all the kids at the end of this. So we're working on feeding them, obviously. Teachers are the ones in pink. Again, there I am. I'm a little bit smaller. So one of my conversations might actually be the fact that back on Mother's Day, I decided to go all in on a different diet, and I'm now working on a carnivore diet. So someday I'll talk about the experiences I'm having with that. It's different. This event held by the police in a community where they were rebuilding a building that had been destroyed by a landslide in the rain. And everybody's gathered here. Again, you can see I'm rather big at that point in time. I was probably 235 pounds. Not a great thing for me to say. I'm down to 205, so I still have ways to go. My ultimate goal is to get to 190 or below. We'll get there. Interesting event. This one was where one group was giving out and doing circumcisions. And we did a feeding program during that. Interesting thing to have happen. Not to say that would be the way I'd want to do it. So, again, most of the people there. I was trying to get to my other one. Yep, there's the BJMP, Bureau of Jail Management. And the recruits are the ones in the white T-shirts. A lot of great individuals I met. Worked on feeding them all year long. That seems to be about it on what I had. I thought I had another series of photos. So there's the Founders Day birthday and feeding. They had for My wife was birthday is the 13th. Obviously, February 14th is Valentine's Day. And our anniversary is on February 11th. So it ends up being a very interesting week. But that's the way it goes. So there we go. That's a little bit about the charity. It's it's the one thing that I can be proud my wife is doing and working on. She's working on setting up to make sure that the in the Philippines that this is being taken care of, and there's also um, a an official charity in the Philippines. So we're actually going to be 100% certified in the Philippines um, shortly. So we've been able to do it without having to be incorporated, but now companies want to start donating because they realize that it's 100% volunteer. And they couldn't be, it was a huge event. They did a fun run in the Philippines last week. Huge results. Uh, they thought they would maybe get 25, 30, maybe 40 people tops. They got close to 500 runners. Uh, Now in the Philippines, when you want to run, you actually start running and you do your event at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Not like here in the States where you might start earlier in the morning during the summer if it's a warm. And typically, southern places tend to run their events in the spring and the fall, and not so much during the summer when it's really hot. So um, there is that. Uh, Again, I think this is the signing ceremony. Some of the other dignitaries that there. Um, and awesome. I mean, getting to talk to these people, um, absolutely. I've been blessed with a lot of things in my life, um, and being a part of this and being able to be take care of and feed the kids like I do um, is absolutely awesome. I was sort of hoping that I had some photos of the ones where that was actually done by some of the uh, police officers in Coronadal City who were all dressed in black, wearing their COVID masks. And my question to them was, what's it like catching a masked man with a mask on? So, yeah, can't you get yourselves mixed up with one another? They just sort of laughed and had some fun with it. But again, this is what a charity is supposed to be, and that's what I always thought a charity was supposed to be. So over the years, from 2020 to date, we've fed somewhere around 40,000 children. And hopefully one day we'll start getting some donations in from the United States and being able to help take care of the kids there and maybe expand elsewhere. I mean, unfortunately, it looks like we need this sort of service here in the United States, or we're going to. Um, and we'll see how it is. And hopefully we can get more people thinking outside the box instead of thinking inside the box and thinking of themselves only, because that's not the way to go through life. It's not about us as individuals. It's we as a people. It is why our stuff in that it starts we the people of the United States of America. And I strongly believe that we are much stronger together. But I'm going to go through some videos and that and cover how we're so divided now. And the worst part about it is I know who's doing it to us. And I'll explain that in those videos. But this one, give you an idea of what the charity is. When my wife gets back from the Philippines, I'll do a full interview with her. and we'll go through this and have a little bit of fun. But that's it for now. And hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was enlightening and that you learned something and that you'll come back and visit me for some other ones. And as I get into some more serious topics and some that aren't quite so serious, we'll tackle some sports issues and things of that nature. We'll see how things go. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great evening.